How can your child prepare? So from my experience of teaching students in Hong Kong, these are some of the areas where they might want to do extra preparation or bridging to prepare for their move to the UK. So in the UK, English is not focused on grammar, it's heavily focused on literature. You're expected to be able to write and communicate well. And that means both speaking and writing and listening skills as well, and also be able to read well. So these are some things that you might want to sharpen in Hong Kong before you move to the UK. Critical thinking, this is the reason why we have critical reading and writing in our courses at iLearner, so that students can think, know how to ask questions and to really deliberate and think about what's been given to them. Think outside of the box a little bit. In Hong Kong, a lot of students don't ask questions in class. The teacher's talking and there might be 40 or 50 students and they're sitting there making notes. In the UK, you're looking at 30 students in a class. The teacher will ask you questions and you will be expected to raise your hand or share your views on something. So this is something that students in Hong Kong really need to develop. Sign up for extra courses, train yourself up to think outside of the box. Take our Oxbridge camps or our STEM camps, which really hone your critical thinking skills. Also subject knowledge. In the UK, there are similar subjects to in Hong Kong, but there are some differences. So for example, things like history and geography, French, there are some gaps. So you might find that you're very good at maths and you won't need to prepare for that when you go to the UK, but you might find that for other subjects, you might need to prepare. So we do things like religious studies that you don't have in Hong Kong. So anything like bridging the gaps is very important. That's why we have our UK Learning Experience Days. So sign up to those. They're a great way of getting the feel of what it's like to be learning in the UK classroom. And there's also some activities and some knowledge that you don't have in Hong Kong that will help prepare you for the UK. Also things like socializing and self-expression. Can your child socialize? Can they express themselves? In the UK, students really are expected to kind of show their personality, especially if you're thinking of applying for an independent school. You're expected to be able to show who you are as a person, your personality and your interests. If you struggle at interviews, this is something that you will need to work on. So go to interview classes, take up extra hobbies, practice talking about yourself, talking about things you're interested in. So this is very important. Also, develop some hobbies and extracurriculars. In Hong Kong, a lot of students are focused on taking hobbies or extracurriculars for the purpose of getting into good schools. But in the UK, when students have any hobbies, it's usually out of interest. So they do things like maybe play the piano or maybe do dance or drama or play football or netball. It's very good to have these hobbies because in the UK, it won't be completely about academics. So you'll have a lot of free time and you'll want to have something to enjoy as well. And schools have lots of different extracurricular activities you can take. So it's good to think about what you'd like to take, maybe prepare beforehand, and then sign up for things when you're there as well. So overall, it's very important to have some academic planning and also some life planning so that you're well prepared before you go. One of the things could be that my child must get into a grammar school or top independent school to do well. This is not true because if you notice, 93% of students don't go to an independent school. They go to state schools, and a lot of them still go to Oxford and Cambridge. They still go to the Russell Group universities, which are the top universities in the UK. So if your child is smart and hardworking, they can do well no matter where they go, as long as they can seize the opportunities available to them. If you're looking really urgently to go and you're thinking my child can change schools when they're there, I would strongly advise against this because as you might have noticed, there are very strict deadlines for applying to schools. So if you're thinking of applying to a specific school, it's good to prepare in advance rather than to just change schools when you're there because you'll be expected to explain why you want to change schools as well. My child's English will improve once they're there. This is not necessarily the case. Once you go to a school in the UK, every other child will be speaking native level English. If your child has a poor foundation in English, they will really struggle and other subjects will suffer as a result as well. So it's good to sharpen their English. Go to a school that has a lot of support for second language learners. Maybe even some schools that have a lot of students from Hong Kong would be a good option if your child has weak English. My child will settle in quickly. Yes, children do settle in very quickly, but it's also your responsibility as a parent to also help them settle in quickly. So that means think about how can you prepare them before they go? What kind of courses can you sign them up to? Can you give them any kind of extra experiences? It's not just about changing schools, it's also about changing lifestyles and changing countries. It's very different in the UK, so do prepare your child. State schools provide low quality education. As you know, in Hong Kong, there are so many schools. There are some state schools that are good and there are some that are bad. The same in the UK. There are so many state schools and every area has some good schools and some that are bad. I went to a state school and I think it had offered everything that I needed. So definitely do look into state schools if that's something that you want to consider. It's much cheaper. They offer you the quality education that you need. Everything that you need, they can provide it. But if you have any special needs, or extra things that you want in an independent school is an option. My child is a high performer and will do well in the UK. As I mentioned before, in the UK, it's not very academically focused, which means that if the child is performing academically well in the UK, they might struggle in the UK, in Hong Kong, they might struggle in the UK just because they're more focused on the child being a well-rounded student. So that means being able to talk to different people, or being able to engage in different subjects, speak up, join things like volunteering groups, fundraising, and extracurriculars. So do prepare your child. The kind of learning style that they have in Hong Kong is very different to the UK. So do prepare them because it's more about critical thinking. It's not about getting the right answer as it is in Hong Kong. So do prepare them. And my last message is really find the right school for your child. And to do that, you really need to plan ahead.
Can you talk a bit about how the academic focus is just different in the UK?
So in the UK, they're looking for students that are kind of prepared for life. So they don't think that academics is the way to go. It doesn't mean that they don't care about tests. They do care about tests, but they want your child to be prepared for life. And that means having activities, having good public speaking skills, being able to work as a team, to think critically. And also, school is only from 9 to 3, 9 to about 3:30. You'll have a lot of free time. So you won't normally have students taking extra lessons or tuition after school. There won't be tests every term or even every year. So if you're in year 7 or year 8, you might find that you don't really have proper tests. You have assessments that kind of gauge how well you're doing. So don't think that it's not academically focused at all, but it's just different. So they do care about it, but they also care about other things as well. So whether you're prepared for life, and also whether you're prepared to think independently as well, and not just kind of copy the answers or remember the answers or remember from a textbook. A lot of learning in the UK is not textbook based. So you'll have to find that you have to kind of adapt and be an active learner rather than kind of a student that's sitting there passively and making notes and memorizing everything.
Yeah, I think that's a really good explanation. I think academic just has a very different meaning in the UK, and it is much more thinking in a long term. So it doesn't really matter if you don't get 100% on every single test. In fact, I would say it doesn't matter at all in the UK. You could get terrible grades in one subject, great grades in another subject. You could do badly one year and great the next year. It's very much a longer term process. Obviously, there are a few key exams, such as if you were applying to a grammar school at age 10 or 11, you need to do really well in that. But that's not something that you could prepare for by practice. It's meant to test your abilities, like your general ability to learn and to understand things. And I think that's generally the ethos for education in the UK, as compared to Hong Kong, is it's more about, are you a good learner, not have you learned the exact things in this. So lots of things are focused on critical thinking, and lots of the focus on the extracurriculars are because they make us better learners. So studying a wider variety of things, such as in the evenings, not going to tutorial classes, but taking, swimming classes, joining a gymnastics club, just doing more reading, hanging out with your friends. Those are things that develop different skills. And I think parents might see that as not pushing students enough. But we know that obviously a huge portion of students in the UK are very academically strong, and they get good grades when it counts. So when it comes to A-levels and GCSEs and going to university. And it is just more the long-term, the long-range thinking. And I think that can be a big culture shock for students coming to the UK and for parents as well. So something just to make sure that you're aware of. it doesn't mean that the school is weaker because they don't have tests every week. It just means that the school is thinking in a longer range way.